We're going to perform the indicated operation and simplify. 2 divided by w plus z plus 2 divided by z minus w minus 4w divided by w squared minus z squared. Our first job is going to be to factor each of the denominators so that we can come up with a common denominator. The first two fractions only have two terms and they don't have any common factors, so those denominators are already in factored form. So we'll just rewrite those. But the third fraction we can see has a difference of squares in the denominator. So we can rewrite that one as w minus z times w plus z. And now we can see that our factors in the third denominator almost match the factors in the first and the second. The difference is one of them has z minus w and the other one has w minus z. So what we need to do is we need to multiply the numerator and the denominator of the second fraction by -1 so that we'll have factors that instead of being opposites are the same. This is going to give us 2 divided by w plus z plus -2 divided by -z plus w, what we get when we distribute the -1, minus 4w divided by w minus z times w plus z. And in the next step, all we're going to do is rewrite that denominator of the second fraction. The numerator stays the same as -2, but we're going to switch the order of adding. So we're going to get w plus -z, but that's the same thing as w minus z. And our last fraction stays the same, 4w divided by w minus z times w plus z. So our common denominator for this problem is going to be w plus z times w minus z. So we're going to have to multiply the numerator and the denominator of the first and the second fraction by something that gives them the common denominator. The numerator and denominator of the first fraction are going to need to be multiplied by w minus z. The numerator and the denominator of the second fraction are going to need to be multiplied by w plus z. The third fraction already has the common denominator, so we'll just need to rewrite that one. So we're starting to run out of room on our screen here. So what we're going to do is shrink down these pieces a little bit and move them up to give ourselves a little bit more room for writing. Okay. So now we're going to distribute in the numerators of these two fractions. So we end up with 2w minus 2z divided by w plus z times w minus z plus -2w minus 2z divided by w minus z times w plus z, and we'll subtract from that 4w divided by w minus z times w plus z. So now all of our fractions have the common denominator, so we'll go ahead and we'll keep that common denominator, w plus z times w minus z, and we'll perform all of the operations for the numerators. So we end up with 2w minus 2z minus 2w minus 2z minus 4w. And again, we need to make this a little bit smaller and move it up so that we have some room to write. In fact, maybe we'll just adjust all of these a bit. And when we combine like terms, we have a 2w minus a 2w that goes away, and we end up with negative 4w. And then we have a minus 2z, which gives us minus 4z. And that's going to be divided by w plus z times w minus z. And in the numerator, we see that we have a common factor of negative 4, which gives us negative 4 times w plus z, and that's still divided by w plus z times w minus z. And the factor of w plus z and w minus z in the numerator and the denominator can be canceled because they become a factor of 1. It's like multiplying by 1, which doesn't change a value. And we end up with negative 4 divided by w minus z. And that's our final answer. I hope you found this helpful.